Short story of infidelity during a trip a night in New York. Jessica had always dreamed of visiting New York City. When her boss offered her a chance to attend a prestigious conference, she jumped at the opportunity. It was an exciting career move, and she convinced herself that a few nights in the city would be a thrilling escape from her routine. Her husband, Mark, encouraged her to go, insisting that it would be good for her career. As she packed her bags, he smiled and handed her a small travel guide, a token of his support. "You'll have an amazing time," he said, kissing her goodbye at the airport. The first few days were filled with late-night networking events and early morning workshops. Jessica felt invigorated by the energy of the city. She met colleagues from around the country, many of whom were friendly and engaging. On the last night, after a long day of seminars, a group of them decided to grab drinks at a trendy bar in Manhattan. As the evening progressed, Jessica found herself laughing and joking with an attractive colleague named Ryan. He was charming and charismatic, with an easy smile that made her heart race. They shared stories about their careers and life back home, and before she knew it, the chemistry between them was palpable. When Ryan suggested they grab another drink at a nearby lounge, Jessica hesitated but ultimately agreed. The atmosphere was electric, and she was swept up in the thrill of the moment, forgetting for a while about Mark and their life together. Hours later, the two of them found themselves alone in a dimly lit corner of the bar. The laughter faded as they locked eyes, and Jessica felt a rush of desire. In that fleeting moment, she made a choice that would haunt her. They kissed, a spark igniting between them, and before she could process what was happening, they were heading back to his hotel room. The excitement of the night blurred the lines of right and wrong, and Jessica surrendered to the thrill of infidelity. But the moment passed, leaving her feeling empty and regretful. As she lay there beside Ryan, she felt a wave of guilt wash over her. She thought of Mark, waiting for her back home, trusting her completely. The reality of her betrayal hit her like a cold shower. When she returned home, Jessica was a bundle of nerves. Mark greeted her with open arms, a warm smile lighting up his face. But as he held her close, she felt the weight of her secret pressing down on her. Days turned into weeks, and she tried to resume her normal life, but the guilt was suffocating. She couldn't shake the memory of that night or the feeling that she had shattered something precious. Finally, unable to bear the burden any longer, she sat Mark down one evening. With tears streaming down her face, she confessed everything: the flirtation, the kiss, the regret. The pain in Mark's eyes was a knife to her heart, a visual representation of her betrayal. She could not forgive herself for having cheated on her husband with another man, just to follow the dynamics of a moment of drinking where for some reason she lost control and ended up making love to a stranger, who with a smile for a moment broke the lock that every married woman has when she is in front of an attractive man at a bar, looking for a moment of pleasure with a man other than her husband, doing something that she regrets at this moment. Moment of pleasure which has become a feeling of regret when she is in the presence of her husband. Finally, unable to bear the burden any longer, she sat Mark down one evening. With tears streaming down her face, she confessed everything: the flirtation, the kiss, the regret. The pain in Mark's eyes was a knife to her heart, a visual representation of her betrayal. He listened in silence, the hurt evident on his face. When she finished, there was a long pause before he spoke, his voice trembling. "I never thought you would do something like this." Jessica felt the ground beneath her shake, the reality of her actions crashing over her like a wave. "I'm so sorry. I made a terrible mistake. I love you, and I never wanted to hurt you." Mark's response was filled with sorrow and disbelief. "I don't know if I can ever trust you again. This changes everything." Their relationship was never the same after that night. They fought to mend the pieces, but the trust had been shattered. Jessica had to learn to live with her choices, the weight of her actions shaping the way she saw herself and her marriage. In the end, her night in New York became a turning point, a moment of temptation that taught her about the fragility of love and trust. It was a lesson learned too late, a painful reminder that the thrill of a single night could lead to the unraveling of a lifetime. In the weeks that followed, Jessica and Mark found themselves navigating a turbulent sea of emotions. Their home, once a sanctuary filled with laughter and warmth, now felt like a battleground, fraught with tension and unspoken words. Every conversation seemed heavy, laden with the weight of what had happened. Mark tried to engage in their daily routines, but the shadow of betrayal loomed large. He would often stare into space during dinner, lost in thought, while Jessica struggled to find the right words to bridge the growing chasm between them. She felt like a ghost in her own life, haunted by her mistake and desperate to make amends. They decided to attend couples counseling, hoping that a professional could help them unravel the complexities of their feelings. In the initial sessions, Jessica poured her heart out, explaining how the thrill of the night in New York had overshadowed the love she felt for Mark. She spoke about her regrets and the guilt that gnawed at her every waking moment. Mark, however, struggled to articulate his pain. The hurt was so profound that it often left him speechless. He felt betrayed not just by Jessica's actions but by the fact that she had hidden the truth from him. It was a betrayal of trust that cut deep, and the scars were still fresh. During one particularly difficult session, the counselor encouraged them to express their feelings more openly. Mark finally found his voice. "I just don't understand how you could throw everything away," he said, his voice trembling. "We had something special, and you threw it away for a moment of excitement. I keep replaying that night in my head, wondering if you were thinking of me while you were with him." Jessica's heart sank as she heard the pain in his words. She had never intended for her actions to hurt him, but she understood now that she had caused irreparable damage. "I wasn't thinking," she admitted, tears streaming down her face. "I got swept away in the moment, and I can't express how deeply sorry I am. I never wanted to lose you. I really hope that you forgive me and we can rebuild our life together, leaving my mistake in the past, a past that is killing me right now, for what I did to a man like you." As they continued their sessions, they began to peel back layers of their relationship. They explored the underlying issues that had contributed to the distance between them: the long work hours, the feeling of being taken for granted, the lack of intimacy. They realized that while Jessica's actions had been a catalyst for the crisis, the cracks in their marriage had been there for some time. Slowly, they began to rebuild, but it was a fragile process. There were moments of connection, where laughter would return, but they were often overshadowed by reminders of the past. Mark would sometimes slip into silence, his mind wandering to painful memories, and Jessica would feel the familiar wave of guilt crash over her. As the months passed, Jessica committed herself to making amends. She surprised Mark with thoughtful gestures, a handwritten letter expressing her love, spontaneous date nights, and small acts of kindness that reminded him of the woman he had fallen in love with. She sought to prove her dedication to their relationship, showing him that she was willing to work hard to earn back his trust. One weekend, they took a trip to the coast, a place where they had shared many happy memories before the infidelity. The ocean waves crashing against the shore felt like a cleansing force, washing away some of the lingering hurt. They spent the days walking hand in hand along the beach, reminiscing about their early days together, and laughing at inside jokes. One evening, as the sun set, painting the sky in brilliant hues of orange and pink, they found a quiet spot to sit. The air was filled with the sound of waves, and for a moment, the weight of the past felt lighter. Jessica took a deep breath, feeling the warmth of the sun on her skin. "Mark," she began, her voice steady, "I know I've hurt you in ways I can't take back. But I want you to know how committed I am to us. I want to work through this, no matter how long it takes." He turned to her, his expression softened but still guarded. "I want that too, Jess. But I can't promise it will be easy. Trust is a fragile thing, and it takes time to rebuild." "I understand," she said, her heart aching with the truth of his words. "I'm here for the long haul. I love you, and I want to prove that to you every day." As they sat together, the ocean breeze tousling their hair, Mark felt a flicker of hope. It was still a long road ahead, and he knew there would be challenges, but for the first time in a while, he felt as though they could find their way back to each other. In the months that followed, they continued to work on their relationship, embracing the ups and downs that came with it. Each small victory, whether it was a shared laugh or a deep conversation, felt like a step forward. They were learning to communicate better, to be more vulnerable, and to acknowledge each other's feelings. Though the memory of that night in New York would never completely fade, it became a part of their story, a painful chapter that ultimately taught them about resilience, forgiveness, and the strength of their love. Together, they began to craft a new narrative, one that was built on honesty, understanding, and a deeper appreciation for the love they had fought so hard to preserve. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are one of those people who like stories of infidelity, this type of video could be for you. Please subscribe to this channel, like and share this story of hearts broken by deception, lies and infidelity, and above all, leave your comments.